traveled across the country to Washington, D.C. in hopes of urging lawmakers to fund childhood cancer research and programs.
During these uncertain political times, Rebecca Shannon of Beaverton wants to remind congressmen and women that childhood cancer should remain a national priority. Rebecca, a two-time cancer survivor herself, joined more than 300 other Americans affected by the disease for the 15th annual Childhood Cancer Action Days event last week. And Rebecca is joining us in studio this morning with more on her story and her efforts and advocacy. We also have grassroots manager Carrie Hampton with the American Cancer Society's Cancer Action Network. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for
Appreciate
being
your time.
here.
Yeah.
And yeah, fresh off this trip to D.C. So Rebecca, tell us a little bit about your story. You're a two-time cancer survivor, and this has become such a personal mission for you to bring to our nation's capital.
Yeah, definitely. I was diagnosed when I was 13 years old. I underwent 3 years of treatment, chemo, surgery, radiation, all of it. Luckily, I went into remission, and I've been in remission for almost 10 years now.
Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
In 2020, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer as a result of my previous treatment.
Oh, man.
So that just shows how important it is that we have all of this research to improve so that kids don't get secondary cancers like I did.
Wow. And that is such a critical piece of childhood cancer that unfortunately I think a lot of people don't always know about is that long term, you know, the road ahead can be very uncertain.
Yeah, there's a lot of effects that happen from these drugs that we're given. There can be joint problems, just a multitude of problems.
Yeah.
So it's really important that we find drugs that are less toxic.
Absolutely, and this is a big piece of that. Carrie, let's talk about what you do with the American Cancer Society and again, the Action Network. What is the Action Network, and how can people learn more about exactly the work that you're doing?
Okay, so ACS CAN, which is a shorter way of referring to it, we are the advocacy arm of the American Cancer Society. So here in Oregon, we work on issues from the local, state, all the way to the federal level. And so people can get involved. We do have a Cancer Action Day coming up on April 1st. It's an opportunity for people to share their stories with their lawmakers and also, you know, basically talk to them about our 3 state priorities that we have going into this legislative session. Our 3 bills are, number 1 is our restricting the sale of flavored tobacco statewide. This is something we've been working on for over 3 years. We do have, you know, bipartisan, bicameral support for that bill. And then we're also introducing a biomarker testing bill, which basically asks insurance companies, or tells insurance companies, to cover biomarker testing for any disease that has a biomarker test associated with it. So sometimes you hear targeted therapy, or it's basically creating the personal therapy for that person and their genetics, so they're going to be a better outcome. And then our 3rd bill is a cervical cancer screening bill. In 2023, we passed a bill that said anybody who needed a secondary after an abnormal mammogram, that their diagnostic testing would be covered at no cost to the patient. Well, we are the only state now, and we are introducing that for cervical cancer, which is very exciting.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, and to be able to have volunteers putting a human face on these issues that can sometimes get lost in the research and the insurance and the numbers. Rebecca, what were some of those conversations like for you in D.C.? Were people receptive to your story?
Our representatives were very receptive to what we are asking for, which is increasing funding for the NIH and NCI, protecting Medicaid for the kids and families that are going this, as well as just accelerating access to care. Our representatives were very open to it.
Yeah, so what's the next step now?
Just continuing to contact our representatives and getting their support and answering any questions that they have.
Keeping things at the forefront, I would imagine, is very, very critical here.
For sure.
Yeah, well done.
And Carrie, you mentioned we've got another big action day coming up April 1st.
April 1st, yes.
If you would like to join in the effort, thank you both for being here to spread the word about it today. If you want to learn more about the Childhood Cancer Action Days and ongoing efforts at all levels of government, you can find more. Check out this story on KOIN.com.
It is 7:21 now.